Heartonomics is about the economic value of how we make people feel, our customers and our employees, and how those two things come together to impact our bottom line. So no doubt you're all here this morning because you already understand the importance of how we make people feel at work, our employees and our customers. Our job is to convince senior management that it'll go straight to the bottom line to invest in employee engagement. Now, who's got employee engagement on their scorecard? Yeah. 2 years ago, if I had asked you that question, would it have been there? Maybe for some of you, perhaps not for most. So there's definitely a revolution going on and you're all part of it. And how do revolutions start? They start from things being really important to people they want to stand up and fight for. And so we've transitioned into a situation in business where what individuals and what employees want and what they need is being heard, and it's driving policy because it goes straight to the bottom line. Now, apart from the wonderful White Lion, who here works for a not-for-profit? A few of you. Okay, I may take back what I was going to say, which is ultimately we need to deliver, whether it is particularly not-for-profit actually. I used to be involved with a wonderful charity, Odyssey House, which is not that dissimilar to White Lion, and we always battled with never having enough money to do what we wanted to do. So ultimately, whichever business we're in, it's all about how we perform and what our bottom line result is. So Heartonomics is about how, by investing in the way we make people feel and ourselves first, that can impact the bottom line. So let's take a look at it. Okay, so we're all pretty familiar with this. Can't have happy customers if you don't have happy staff. Has anyone actually met or spoken with someone who hates their job and walked away going, gee, that was a great customer experience? No. In fact, I'm one of those people that loves to say to people, when I don't have a good experience, you know what? It might be time to get another job because life's too short, right? We all know that feeling of when you wake up in the morning and you look forward to going to work. Now, you are the happy few that were willing to get out of bed on a Friday morning, despite it being cold and it would be nice to stay in and it's so easy to press snooze, but because you're really passionate about your people and how people feel, you're here. So today is really about working out how can we actually instill that sense of purpose and motivation and engagement in our workforces so that we can perform better. So we're all familiar with, if we've got happy staff, then we've got happy customers, and happy customers are valuable because what do? They engage in a certain type of behaviour, and it's called advocacy. They tell their friends about having a great experience, and as a result, they do your selling for you. So more and more, our frontline customer service team or people are delivering customer experience, and they're creating promoters or detractors of our brand in each and every interaction. And that's purely based on how they felt after that interaction with one of our people. Okay, so what's happening out there? Well, we're now part of an engagement economy. So engagement is a very emotive word. Engagement is about feelings and how feelings drive behaviour. So the reason I ask you to write a word down this morning of how you're feeling, and we'll learn a little bit more later about emotional intelligence, but emotional intelligence is all about developing self-awareness around how we feel, because the way we feel impacts the decisions we make, our judgment, and how we behave. So the first step in managing our emotions and those of our people or our customers is to develop our own level of awareness around how we're feeling and how that may or may not impact our behaviour in a positive way. So what's happening out there? Hopefully all of this looks familiar. 90% of CEOs now have customer engagement on the top of the agenda. What do CEOs care about? Performance, the bottom line. And 5 years ago, if you were talking about employee engagement or emotional intelligence, most of them would have said that fluffy stuff, nah, we're not interested in that. It's our shareholders we need to worry about and how they feel. That priority has now shifted. So frontline customer service is where a great leader or a great CEO focuses their energy, because in each and every interaction, think about it. Who works in a contact centre? Great. So say on average, someone in a contact centre talks to 60 people a day. That means they talk to 15,000 people a year. Now just do the quick math in your head and times 15,000 by the average customer value, and you start to see how valuable our frontline people are in terms of lifetime customer value and how that can be made or broken in a single interaction. Ultimately, Heartonomics is about what's the economic value of investing in engaging people, whether it be customers or employees. And if we just purely look at customers, engaged customers represent a 23% premium. They spend more, they stay longer, they cost less to serve, they give you good ideas. They want to help you. I was at the Government Customer Service Conference a couple of weeks ago, it was probably a couple of months ago, and I was really quite inspired by the focus on co-production, using your customers to help you produce the goods and services that they want, and that continuous improvement piece. So 23% a premium of engaged customers. Think about Apple. Now, who's an Apple, who's a Samsung in this room? Apple? Yeah, so still the majority, right? Why do we use Apple? Why do we buy it in the first place? Because everybody else had it. But how do you feel when you open the Apple box? Yeah? How do you feel? You know that you're going to feel good when you open the Apple box, irrespective of what the Apple thing does, right? The attention to detail that goes into the label positioning, the box, the shape of it, the feel of it, the texture of it. We have an expectation that's emotional around Apple products. And as a result, Apple's customer value is double any more hardware company, because not so much of what you as customers spend, but what we call referral economics, your referral value. So Apple does business based on someone leaning over the table and saying, look what this does, and doing their selling for them. And that's what customer advocacy is all about. And that's why customer engagement is top of the agenda for every CEO. Because customers who are engaged are advocates, and they do your selling for you. They have twice the annual growth rate, and productivity is at least 17% more. So more sales and less cost. And that's the economic case for investing in engagement. But you all wouldn't be here, and you wouldn't be a member, I would expect, if you weren't passionate about customer service and the value to an organisation of delivering great service. So we'll get moving. Just a talk about social selling though. So more and more, when it comes to buying something, we don't care about the ads on television, do we? It's not the flyer that we see on a table. It's what someone tells us about an experience. Financial planning is a prime example. Do you choose a financial planner because you see some lovely, fit, tanned, good-looking, grey-haired couple frolicking on the beach? No. You're at a dinner party and you have a need, and you tell the people you trust, and you say, I really need a financial planner. And what happens? Someone leans over and said, I know just the person you need to speak with. Now suddenly the whole product price paradigm goes out the window, doesn't it? If you found a financial planner or a financial advice company online, you'd be interested in what are the products, what's the list of services I get, what's the annual fee, what's the actual commission, so on and so forth. But when Emma says to me, I know the perfect person and you must talk to them, I don't ask any of those questions, and I will pay a premium for trust. Yeah? And that's the power of customer engagement. So engaged customers aren't just happy customers. So this whole Heartonomics thing, happy customers, happy staff, happy's a misnomer. Happy's not enough. When you exceed a customer's expectations, then they will refer you. And that's the whole purpose of delivering a great customer experience. Not so they walk away going, that was good. They walk away going, I need to tell someone about that because it was out of the ordinary and it exceeded my expectations. Now, who has the capability to deliver experiences? Human beings. That's what differentiates us. We deliver experiences. Okay, so what does it mean? This whole revolution around what customers are wanting. Customer expectations are definitely up. They want service anywhere, anytime. They want it via multiple channels, and their tolerance is down. They're really happy to self-serve, so give them an app, give them a website, give them some way of serving themselves, and it's all of our preferences, except when it doesn't work, except when we really need a solution and we need to have a conversation with someone. So gone are the days where customer service was about serving and giving information. That can all happen via technology now. Customer service is now about delivering solutions to people which are personalised to their individual needs, and our customers expect, based on big data, whether or not your technology is doing what it should be doing or not, customers expect that you know about them. You know their preferences, you know their patterns, you know what's important to them. So they expect that whether it's on the end of the phone or face-to-face, that you actually take a 360-degree view of them as a person, and you're going to deliver a solution that's personalised and is about them. There's no room for error. Two things will happen in an interaction. The person who's delivering that customer experience will create a promoter or a detractor of your brand. Who uses NPS or something similar? Right. So it's all about, does the person go away an advocate or not? And our frontline people on the phone, face-to-face, are delivering that customer experience, and they're creating an advocate or a detractor, promoter or detractor in every interaction. And there's no room for error, because when we get it wrong, what do customers do today? Yeah, tweet, Facebook it. It's out there. 3 million, it goes round the globe to, I don't know how many million people now. Last time I looked, it was, I don't know, 1 billion or something in 3 seconds. There's no room for error. And social selling is all about the fact that we don't go and look at ads or look at websites when we go to buy a product. We actually look at posts, and we go and look at reviews. And that's social selling. So if we get it wrong, all of our current customers and our prospective customers know all about it. Excuse me. So what does this mean ultimately for who we have on the front line? Well, there's a whole new type of person emerging. Customer service used to be sort of what you did if you didn't know what else you were doing, right? You were good with people and you liked dealing with them, and that's what you did. Customer service is now emerging as a profession. There's an art and a skill to it, and it's incredibly valuable to organisations when you've got a highly engaged and emotionally intelligent person on your front line. And that's what we're going to talk about. So our new front line, they're not delivering service, they're delivering experiences. And experiences is about how we make people feel. Deepening relationships. So there's a major bank who's got a really big campaign on with their staff at the moment, and there may actually be a representative from that bank. They're here today. And they talk about DCR as a KPI, deepening customer relationships. And that's called sales, right? Okay, so here's our new front line. Here's what they look like. The emotionally intelligent brand champion. Now, when you're a champion, what do you think about when you hear the word champion? Someone going, yay, I'm happy to be here. I want to talk about it. I want to celebrate it. And you don't get that sort of behaviour on your front line unless your employees are highly engaged, unless they heart you. And what does this emotional intelligence thing mean? Some people think emotional intelligence is about being emotional at work. No. Okay? Yeah. It's about the opposite of that. It's about being emotional in the right way at work. So, emotional intelligence intersects with engagement, because engagement, whether it's customers or employees, is all about how we make people feel. So engagement is the state of emotional and intellectual commitment to an organisation, the degree to which you as leaders have captured the hearts and minds of your employees. So it's about head and it's about heart. And both are important. So why engaged employees? Why should we work so hard at this? Why is it on the top of the agenda for HR, CEOs and you as leaders? Because engaged employees, like customers, engage in a certain type of behaviour based on the way that they feel. They're 32% more committed. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that they're 87% less likely to leave and they have 45% higher job performance. So when you go saying, hey, I've got some great employee engagement initiatives, and you hear we don't have budget for that, if you're a public company, that's when you say, hey, check out this statistic. Earnings per share nearly 300% higher when you've got highly engaged employees. Here's the special type of behaviour that engaged employees behave. It's called discretionary effort. It's that +1, it's that extra mile. You know how some people give that extra, that little bit extra in each and every interaction, and they do it with ease. Why? Because they enjoy what they're doing. Why do people enjoy what they're doing? They find meaning in their work, and their values as a person are aligned with the work that they're doing. And so it's really easy to deliver that +1 because it gives joy to do it. And that's what great service or engaging customers is all about. So, of course, it impacts on the bottom line significantly when we have highly engaged employees. You know, absenteeism, who's got that bugbear? Absenteeism goes down, attrition goes down, time spent on performance management goes down. You know, I'm sure you're very familiar with all the financial benefits of having highly engaged employees. Here's how engagement actually looks in most organisations, though. So you've got 8% of your employees that are actively disengaged. I like to call these guys the terrorists. You know these ones? Hate the place, never have a good thing to say, complain constantly. But have you noticed that they never, ever leave? Yeah? Then you've got your 21%. These are your highly engaged. These are the guys doing twice as much work as anyone else. Notice it's only 2 out of 10. These are your top performers. Take 2 top performers and they do more work than 4 of the others. And then you've got the majority, your 70% who are sitting in the middle. These guys are good, they're fine. They turn up, they probably take their 10 days sick leave, work back maybe on occasion, but it's a little bit of a hassle to do so. They give you just enough to get that satisfactory rating on their performance review. Where do we spend most of our time as leaders? Terrorists. Who's our biggest flight risk? Our 20%. Where's our biggest opportunity? The 70%. If we could move half of our fence sitters, sometimes what I call the zombies, you know, those people who just walk around, yeah, they're not really awake, yeah, and if you could wake them up, suddenly you have a massive impact on your bottom line and on your culture. So I'm hoping if the only thing you hear today is one thing, go back to your workplace, have a think about what your bell curve looks like and focus on making sure that you actually spend time on your top performers who are doing the work. And the problem with your top performers is they're engaged, they're highly engaged, they're probably emotionally intelligent, which means they drive their own engagement. But when they get disengaged, wow, then you've got a problem. So what drives employee engagement? That's really why we're here. Well, think about what gets you out of bed in the morning. You know, sure, there's all the hygiene factors. What do you get paid? Is the location convenient? What's the environment like? You know, do you get an RDO, work-life balance? All those things are really important. But who do we leave when we leave a job? Our manager. Now, it's hard to accept sometimes that as managers, when people leave, they're actually leaving us. And I had someone leave yesterday after 3 years and, you know, we didn't talk about it, but she was leaving me. And that can be hard as a leader to accept. But you remember, some of you may be familiar with this little quote from Mary Angelou, which says, people will forget what you did, they'll forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And you'll probably forget today everything I've talked about, but hopefully I will have made you feel something and you'll remember what it felt like to sit in this room and hear me speak about Heartonomics. So the key driver of employee engagement is the immediate manager. No buts about it. We can't blame senior management. We can't blame their culture because we are culture in action as leaders. So let's talk about leadership and emotional intelligence. So what is emotional intelligence? So who's seen an actual definition of emotional intelligence before? No. Most people haven't. Yeah, great. So some people do think that emotional intelligence is someone who's good with people. Emotional intelligence is actually a set of skills, and the lovely thing about EQ, emotional quotient, as compared to IQ, is that you can learn it. Some people think you just come out of the womb, you come flying out of the womb, and I've got a baby on the way, so I'm hoping mine's emotionally intelligent, just in case you were thinking I ate too many pies on the way. But it's something that you can learn over time. Some people are born with naturally higher levels of EI, and I will say, and this is controversial, there is a gender difference in emotional intelligence. I'll let you figure that one out, ladies. Yeah. I'm not getting myself into trouble up here today. So what is it? It's the capacity to perceive, express, understand and manage, so there's 4 parts to it, our own emotions and the emotions of others in a manner which enhances relationships. So if we're going to impact the way people feel, it makes, as leaders or or impact our customers, it makes sense the thing to invest in is emotional intelligence. Here's how it works. So the reason I ask you to put down an emotion at the beginning is at the end of today I'm going to ask you how you're feeling now. And it'll be interesting to see how your behaviour changes based on the way you're feeling. Because we forget about this sometimes. You know those days where everything just goes wrong? And then you have those other days where everything just goes right. You're in the zone. You get more work done in 1 hour than you do in 8 on another day. It's all based on how we're feeling at the time. So the way that we feel is processed in an event happens, and our brain processes whether or not that event represents risk or reward to us. This is the whole fight or flight response we're all familiar with. And our thinking brain says, okay, well, I'm going to behave in a certain way based on the way I've just been treated or whatever's happened. And then that then drives our behaviour. So this is that whole link to, well, you know, why would you invest in understanding how your employees are feeling or trying to impact how they feel? Because the way we feel impacts our decision-making, impacts our behaviour, and ultimately our performance. So EI, emotional intelligence, is a set of competencies. So just like you can learn to type, or you can learn to communicate better, or you can learn to sell or influence or public speaking, EI is a set of 7 competencies that can be learned. How does it show up on the front line when you have an emotionally intelligent person on the end of the phone or face-to-face dealing with a customer? So what you feel as a customer is an emotional connection. You know, sometimes, 9 out of 10 times you talk with someone on the phone or you meet someone and they're going through the motions, and then every now and then you talk to someone and you just walk away going, wow, that person was good. Wow, you walk away feeling lighter, feeling better, feeling more positive just based on that interaction, and it's an energy exchange. So that's what an emotionally intelligent brand advocate feels like for a customer. Now, there's a whole new set of skills. If I had more time today, I would spend the whole time probably talking about behavioural agility. Who's heard of Dr. Adam Fraser? Yeah, great. So Adam and I have been doing some work together on what is it that drives someone who's really motivated to deliver a great customer experience in each and every interaction, to be able to do so through 60 or 80 or 100 or perhaps more interactions a day. And we've determined it's behavioural agility. It's that ability to reset your emotional state in between each interaction with a customer or with an employee if you're a leader, and show up on the next call or for the next person in the right frame of mind. So next time, if you invite me back, we'll talk more about that. But behavioural agility is a subset of emotional intelligence. It's about self-awareness and being able to manage your emotional state to show up in the right way to get a good outcome. So what does emotionally intelligent leadership look like? Because it's all about leadership. Think about it. For those of you that work in a contact centre environment, your team leaders are probably the most important people in the organisation, far more important than the CEO. Because your team leader, who manages 10 or 15 employees or somewhere in between, has those 10 or 15 employees interacting with the 15,000 customers a year, and you start adding that up, do the math, and you realise that your team leader, whose culture in action, will determine customer experience and ultimately bottom line performance based on the way they lead their people. Do they show up emotionally for their people as a leader. So what does an emotionally intelligent leader look like? So this diagram shows you productive and unproductive states of leadership. And we know there's no real right and wrong of leadership. It will all be based on a good leader will know they're a good leader because of the way their employees feel and ultimately the way those employees then behave based on their feeling. However, research suggests that emotionally intelligent leaders have a very positive impact on employee engagement and performance. And I'll show you a graph in a moment to demonstrate that. But how does an emotionally intelligent leader show up? Well, they're present. You know how sometimes we've got leaders or managers who, they're good in a lot of aspects, but they're just not present, they're distracted, their mind is somewhere else. So the first thing is an emotionally intelligent leader shows up as present. They're empathetic, authentic, real, genuine. They give you a piece of themselves in each interaction with you as an employee. They're expansive in their thinking. Has anyone ever worked for someone who said, you give them a good idea and they just shut you down straight away? We're too busy. It's not in the strategy. It's not in the plan. Sorry. When do you get the best performance from your people? When you listen to their ideas. They're on the front line serving your customers. They're the ones that are most likely to be able to co-produce the right solution for a customer. They're resilient. A good leader, when they get knocked down, they stand up again. They're empowering, so it's not about their status and their agenda and their progression. A good leader is someone who's focused on bringing out the best in their people to help them realise their potential. And they're centred. So what happens when you've got high emotional intelligence in a leader? So emotional intelligence can be measured and it can be developed, as I said. When emotional intelligence is 75 or above, there's not one disengaged person on that leader's team. So it follows that if we're investing in emotional intelligence, we should be investing in a highly engaged workforce and enhanced performance on the bottom line.